So Deontay Wilder is apparently in negotiations to fight Zhilei Zhang on the undercard of AJ versus Ngannou. Now, normally when a fighter is coming off the kind of one-sided loss that Deontay Wilder suffered against Joseph Parker, I would advise that they have some confidence builders to come back against journeymen. 1, 2, maybe 3 fights against easy opposition. But Deontay Wilder is pushing 40 years of age now. Time is a luxury that he cannot afford. In which case, I think he should probably just take the Zhang fight. As dangerous as it is, and it is very dangerous, I was one of the few people, to my knowledge at least, who was given Zhilei Zhang a very good chance of beating Deontay Wilder. This was prior to Wilder losing to Joseph Parker. I never bought the idea that there's nobody in the heavyweight division that can beat Wilder other than Tyson Fury. Never bought that idea. Always thought that that was a concocted narrative by Team Fury, Team Wilder, Al Heyman, and so on. Never believed it. And having seen how poorly Wilder performed against Joseph Parker, I'm even more convinced that Zhilei Zhang is an extremely dangerous fight for him. Not that Wilder can't win, but it's very, very hazardous against the big man from China. Now, Zhilei Zhang certainly doesn't have the foot speed of a Joseph Parker. He's a taller guy, probably doesn't have the fitness of Parker, the stamina, but he's got a longer reach. He hits an awful lot harder. And unlike Deontay Wilder, Zhang has got power in both hands. He's also got power in a wider variety of punches than Deontay Wilder. With Wilder, it's really just a straight right hand. His right hook ain't up to much. His right uppercut, in most instances, ain't up to much. His left hook is, it's really the straight right hand that is his A+ punch. Whereas with Zhilei Zhang, he's got a tremendous straight left hand from his southpaw stance. He's also got a tremendous right hook up front. Just ask Joe Joyce about that. His uppercuts are no joke. Ask Filip Hrgović about those. Again, with both hands. His hooks have got serious mustard on them. If this guy closes Deontay Wilder down and manages to trap him on the ropes or in a corner, like Joseph Parker did, Deontay Wilder is in serious trouble. You know the way that Fury was able to trap Wilder in the corners in their second and third fights? Well, I'm just telling you that Zhilei Zhang is a lot more destructive with his combinations than Tyson Fury is. This is one of the hardest punches in the heavyweight division without a shadow of a doubt. Now, Zhilei Zhang doesn't have an iron jaw. We haven't seen any vulnerability from him over his past couple fights, but he was actually dropped as a pro. He was either in the pros or maybe it was in the WSB, I forget now, but I've seen him dropped on a couple of occasions in the past. One of the occasions was, of course, against Anthony Joshua in the 2012 London Olympics. AJ dropped him with a good right hand. And Zhang must have been, in his late 20s or something at the time? Your chin is not going to improve from your late 20s up until your early 40s. I said this about Joe Joyce when people were running around saying that Joyce has got an iron jaw. I never bought all that because I saw Joe Joyce get flattened in one round by Sergey Kuzmin in the amateurs. Absolutely flattened. And again, that's when Joyce was in his late 20s. And I figured, well, his chin is not going to be any better in his late 30s, early 40s than it was when he was in his late 20s. I've never seen that before. So while Joe Joyce has got a good chin, I never bought the iron jaw stuff. There are levels when it comes to punch resistance. Anyway, the main point I'm trying to make here is that I'm sure that if Deontay Wilder lands flush on Zhilei Zhang's chin, he could do some serious damage. But vice versa as well. If Zhilei Zhang lands any of his wide variety of concussive power shots on Deontay Wilder's chin, it's good night Vienna. So it's a very risky fight for both guys, but I'd say more so Wilder because of the nature of that performance he's coming off against Joseph Parker. A very poor performance, an uninspired performance, a performance where he seemed like he didn't want to get involved. Well, he's going to have to get involved against Zhang in order to keep him off. So I think he should take the gamble and have that fight because Zhang is currently the WBO interim world champion. If Wilder manages to go in there and beat him, he's right back in the mix. And how many other top contenders or champions are talking about fighting Deontay Wilder right now? He might be out in the wilderness. This Zhang fight, I see it as somewhat of a lifeline for him. Not just in terms of an opportunity to resurrect his career and get himself back in the title picture, but also from a financial perspective. Surely the Saudis are going to be paying him big money to take on Zhilei Zhang. Where else is Wilder going to get that kind of payday, if not from the Saudis? Now, perhaps Wilder and his team will propose different opponents to the Saudis. Maybe they'll propose Andy Ruiz or somebody else. But that notwithstanding, if the Saudis are only interested in Wilder Zhang, and that's the only fight they're willing to pay him big money for right now, again, as far as I'm concerned, he's got to take it. He's simply too old to be having a bunch of confidence building fights and so on and so forth. On top of that, unlike Anthony Joshua, I feel as though Deontay Wilder has already reached this ceiling technically, and it's not a particularly high ceiling. Whereas with AJ, I've been saying for years, in my view, this guy hasn't reached this ceiling technically. That's why I was always advocating him having some lower level rebuilding fights to work on things, to improve his game, to become more rounded. I always felt like he hadn't reached his ceiling yet, and in order to do so, he'd need some of those rebuilding fights, which he's had now. But again, with Deontay Wilder, no, I think he reached his ceiling long ago. I don't see him getting better technically. In fact, he looked worse technically against Parker than he has done in recent years. So rebuilding fights would serve the purpose of doing what for Deontay exactly? Getting his confidence back is about it. But again, when time is not on your side, sometimes you just have to roll the dice. Now, I know the obvious that some people will be pointing out, Zhilei Zhang is just as old as Wilder is. Well, yeah, that's why Zhang is moving the way he's moving. That's why he wants all the smoke right now. Granted, he's not coming off a loss, but he was, at least officially, when he fought Filip Hrgović. After that, he was like, yo, give me Joyce. Zhang knows he's living on borrowed time at his age. Does Deontay know the same? He should. So that's my take on it. Give me your take in the comment section below. I think Deontay Wilder should take this fight, if he wants to continue in boxing, that is. If his heart's not really in it, then I would actually advise him against this fight because it's very dangerous. But if his heart really is in it and he's got more to give, then take on the big Chinaman, see if you can get yourself back in the mix.